welcome to our podcast of the 36 by 36 Association, and I'm welcoming Mariana Bozesan. Welcome, Mariana.
Thank you for having me, Abita. It's a great pleasure to be part of this extraordinary initiative.
So as the 36 by 36 Association, we believe that women need to become architects of our future economies, and these should be life-serving economies. So what we do, we bring different women together, women with expertise, and Mariana is one of them. So Mariana, you are an integral investor. You are an award-winning investor. You are also a female business angel, and you have won a lot of prizes for innovation. You are very, very competent in the area of investing, of integral investing, and bringing the heart into investing. And you are also an expert in exponential technology. So it's going to be an exciting conversation. And my first question to you would be, this is a long life journey. So what is your life journey in short, coming from where you came from to where you are today?
Well, you already introduced me, and in terms of what I do, and in terms of a personal response to that, I was born and raised in communist Romania as the daughter of a Romanian husband and a German wife. So because of my mother's heritage, we ended up when I was 16 years old in Germany. We became German citizens, and I studied computer science. Because I love math, and because of my interest in artificial intelligence, I ended up at Stanford University, which yet again changed my entire life. And so I launched my career, if you so wish, in Silicon Valley, in AI and the internet and so on. And after a very successful high-tech exit in the internet sphere, I decided to come out of the closet and share with the world that I had already meditated for 20 years at the time. And I got my PhD in psychology because I saw the need for integrating the left brain with the right brain. So that's a short.
That's a long story cut short. And if you look back and think about the dreams that you had when you were 13, can you remember anything in terms of what your dreams were of your future or the future?
Of course I do. I wanted to become a singer, and I actually became a singer, and I'm singing the song of sustainability, but not in the form, the way that I thought I would. So I thought I would become a singer. I had a beautiful mezzo-soprano voice, and I won several prizes singing, and so that was my dream. But at the same time, I loved math, and so I ended up pursuing that goal, particularly due to the immigration to Germany.
Thanks, and it's quite an interesting analogy that the way you bring yourself, your voice into the world, maybe a different way of singing today. But if you look back at, let's say if you don't look back, if you look at the present at the moment, and you think about a 13-year-old girl, let's say from Romania or in the European Union or from any other place in the world, and look at the world of today, what would you recommend this 13-year-old women?
I only have one biological son, but I do have many children that I have supported and keep supporting, sending them to school from Romania, from all over the world. And so I'm facing their questions and who they are on a regular basis. And I'm grateful to be their mentors. So what I actually recommend to them is to look at life from a holistic perspective. Piaget told us about the many levels of human evolution, from birth to becoming to individuation. And when you're a 13-year-old girl or boy, for that matter, because I don't like to make those separations, is, the world looks like, oh my God, I am important and I need to fit in the tribe. And but that's just a stage in life. And so as much as you do not remember, if you're 13, if you don't, maybe you remember how you were, how you looked like, what you thought at age 10 or 5 or 3, probably not, but 12 and so on, then you know that you're a different person today, and that will continue. So it's extremely important that we look at the world from a holistic perspective that is not just myself or the tribe or my country or it's the world. There is something that goes beyond the world toward the universe. Then there is not just one type of intelligence, the IQ that gets tested in school. There is also emotional intelligence. Other than that, there are also relationships that you need to focus on and need to learn how to be a good relationship person, what it takes to engage with other people, with a partner. That you also have another area of life that is extremely important, namely how you show up, your self-realization, how you show up in the world as your career. Your finances is extremely important. How are you going to contribute to this world? You've been given all this from your parents and so on, and the society. What are you going to give back?
Yeah, this is already a lot for a 13-year-old girl, but it takes us directly into the question of today. And the question is about life-serving future economies. And you took the example of a 13-year-old girl to say we need to have a holistic perspective. So what we can see at the moment is that economies don't really have a holistic perspective, even though we have globalized economies. But the perspective of people within the economy is quite like say very, very, very closed shop, very only interested in their own gain, and not really looking at the larger picture and what destructive economy would mean, or does mean for the world. So if you think about the future economies, life-serving economies that save our planet, that maintain our planet, that maintain social cohesion, that actually economies that could make us happy without destroying somebody else. What would you think are 3 must-haves, that this kind of 3 must-have elements of such future economies?
Well, there's so much. There are so many things that you didn't say when you implied that when you spoke about the world economy and what we didn't do right. And I think it is extremely important that we need to include into our analysis the fact that humans evolve, our understanding of things evolve. We were born at square one, had to go through the twos and the teenager years and so on, becoming an adult and playing a role in society. So this is an evolution that goes from an egocentric level of consciousness, a mindset that puts me at the center of everything. Then the next level is the tribal, the tribe that I belong to. Then the next level is the country, tribe, Bavaria, for instance, or the country, Germany, or the European Union as the next evolutionary stage in societal organization. And then the understanding that we are actually part of a greater world, which is, you spoke about global economy. But if we think about the economics, the ways, the models that we are running our economies on, they have been developed at a stage, Adam Smith, about between 100 and 200 years ago, when people had a very tribal, ethnocentric, United Kingdom was the center of the world. So they imposed their idea of how to drive economy from their perspective. Although Adam Smith, he was much deeper than the people who took that and transformed it into the system that
So
we have today.
you mean, Mariana, that the models that are the base for our economy are actually developed by people who had a very egocentric mindset, or at least a tribal mindset, without looking at the holistic issues, or looking at the global perspectives.
And that's exactly what it was. It was perfect at the time. But the system that we developed, we didn't really change at the core of it. We didn't change the mindset. We just began acting in the world with the same old mindset, hoping to get a different result. And now the planet is fighting back. And so unless we really, really begin to understand, which is the task, because you asked me what are the three things. Oh my God, there are so many more than three things. If we want to change the system, we need to go into the analysis and get a much, much better understanding as to how the planet works, how life works, because economics is supposed to serve life and the people, and not the other way around. The way the system works right now, it serves money making at the expense of the people and the planet. It's exactly upside down. So that would be the first to need to take a world view of what's wrong with our systems, and then develop the news or evolve, let the new systems evolve according to the new understanding.
So great. Can I just add a question, and tease you a little bit and say, so what is absolutely clear, what you're getting across, is that the mindset needs to shift. And two little questions in addition to that. Do you see mindsets already shifting? And when and how are they shifting? Or the second question is, what would further the mindset shift? Because you're rightly saying that if the basis of our economic action is a certain mindset, and if that mindset doesn't shift, we keep doing the same thing as we did in the past, and it's endangering the planet. Do you see mindsets already shifting?
I do. And that gives me great hope because I see young people, and my approach, my view to the world is by empowering young entrepreneurs to give them money and help them develop a sustainable company that has the opportunity to thrive by appreciating people and the planet, and also includes the financial sustainability. Money is just a wonderful means to exchange goods, nothing else. Mm-hmm. But so by looking and working with these young people and looking at the young generation keeps me young, because I see that they are already there where the systems, our political system is not, where our industry, the people who are driving the economy right now, most of them are not. So you
see a lot of hope in young people and young investors. And do you have women there? Do you have men? Because you're investing mainly in tech. So is it more men than women, or do you also see women taking that up and saying, I really want to build a sustainable company, and sustainability for me means not just kind of a company that makes a lot of money, but a company that serves humankind or serves the planet, or gives some kind of contribution back to society. What are your experience? Do you have some examples for us? What is on their mind? What are their intentions? What do they do, the investors, the young investors?
Well, there are two things. First of all, let me clarify the term investor. I believe that everyone is an investor, and that's crucial. That's extremely important. I think going into this conversation with the arrogance saying, because I give money to a company, I am better than, no way. We are all in the same boat. So this is extremely important for me to put across. So actually the entrepreneur, girl, boy, woman, girl, boy, man, are the biggest investors. So yes, I do see that transformation that is actually taking place at large scale, and that gives me a lot of hope. So both the entrepreneurs are already there. And what I also see is that even if they are at that world-centric mindset that I wish, I'm just positing that, hoping that would be the next step in evolution, because we don't really know. We need to keep that level of humility. But I do see that the entrepreneurs are there. And when they do fundraising, for example, they sometimes twist themselves to say, like the traditional venture capital, the traditional venture investing world. So they're not truly honest, because out of fear that they're not going to be funded, if they say, oh, but I do care about the planet and I do care about the people and the social environment and so on. So they sometimes say, oh, I'm going to deliver the J curve in terms of financial returns. So, but because of people like me and others, impact investors, who are saying, no, let's be honest about this. It's all about us together in the same boat, and the parity of people, planet, profit, and personal realization are important in this process. Then they are choosing us over traditional venture capitalists. Because they see, oh, these people understand us.
Okay, that's an interesting point. So can I...
People are understanding where I am coming. That's what gives me hope.
Yeah, so do I understand this right, that if you come as an investor, then you almost become a partner?
You are, yeah.
Yeah, not there isn't a hierarchy. You're an investor and you become a partner because you're pursuing similar goals, and you find some kind of alignment, with the entrepreneurs. And so that takes me to an interesting next question, and that is, what needs to change in terms of systems behind investing, behind venture capitals, behind you can even say the entire funding scene, so that people do not have to lie or do not have to hide their real ambitions or do not have to kind of try to adjust to the traditional systems. What needs to change so that there is much more money going into entrepreneurs that really want to work towards a thriving world, and much more money, that is available, to do the transformative processes that also the private sector and the private investments can do?
Well, that's the key, actually. Thank you for asking this very, very important question, because thus far we have a system, and that is in Germany supported by BaFin and all the, KfW, and, at the European level, the European Investment Banking and European Investment Fund and so on. And they insist on protecting the financial bottom line, and at the expense of everything else. And that's status quo. So unless that changes, nothing else will change. So if you're asking me what needs to change, the way they measure success needs to change from the source, to be changed from the source. So as long as they tell us, well, you need to deliver the J curves, it is a J curves, at any price, then people will twist themselves so that they can deliver that, and even lie, until they get the money, and then they will try to probably do the, best that they can. But that's key. And if you look at the SFDR, the new regulation at the European level that everyone is talking about, is the nuclear power now sustainable or not?
You mean the taxonomy at the European level?
Taxonomy is one, but SFDR is the entire regulation. Yeah. So, taxonomy is, but that's exactly this, well-intended, stuff that really, really needs to happen. But then it's been developed by people who didn't think all the way through. We need to join forces. We need to really work with people who know what they're doing. In my particular case, I don't know that there is someone whose mindset is, more committed to people and the planet than I have. But within the new taxonomy and the new regulation, if I were to say, well, I am Article 9 or something, I couldn't deliver that, because in this particular asset class, I'm investing into the future, is an illiquid asset class. So I can go in with the intention, and I'm going to select those who I believe are there, thinking in an integrated better. But I cannot get measured because I cannot get measured by what somebody else does, right?
Yeah.
It's something in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So it means that the
together.
measurements are extremely important, the metrics or, whatever. So you say, okay, the systems are structured around metrics that are actually outdated and that have taken us, let's say, into where we are today. Yes. And can I tease you a little bit on saying, so how would you explain to somebody saying, like the financial return is not the most important measurement? I mean, how would you explain that if you, let's say, you are in an entrepreneur's environment? And how do you bring the different perspective? And you do it. You concretely do it with your company. Can you explain us a little bit how you do this to make sure that there are other metrics that are equally important as the financial bottom line?
Yeah, well, that's the big question. How do you come up with metrics for society and for the planet? And so there is, what we experience right now is a highly sophisticated that is in place, which is the traditional investment and traditional finances and traditional economics. It's highly developed. And then on the opposite side, we have philanthropists and impact investors and the social and the environmental fighters and so on. And they are not joining forces. And everyone comes up with their own ideas or solutions. But together, they're not providing the solutions that we need to have. So we need to get rid of those silos and need to engage, which is exactly what you're doing with your new initiative, to engage into a process where we get to know each other, to understand each other, and collectively develop a system that supports both sides, people on the planet and the financial sustainability. Why? Because there are good things on both sides, but we're not talking with one another, and we're fighting without even understanding. It's just like getting into marriage where you're totally opposite, like, men and women are opposite. We know what it means to fight because we are from Mars and from Venus. But we need, the fact that you love each other and you really love this planet must lead us to really joining forces. And see, I can only give examples from the very simple way of applying such technology that is early stage investing, where you only have two people with the PowerPoint and the dog, right? Which is easy. Yeah. Because, you look at the people, you look at their intention, you can do a bunch of, tests, whether they're going to be able psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, cognitively to deliver what they promise. And then you give them money and, and coach them along the way. And most of the time, in my case, worked well because, we're a team. We all go together. Okay. Now, when it comes to changing entire systems that have been functioning for 200 years, it's much more difficult. And that's why the work that the Club of Rome is doing and many other organizations is so important. We need to join forces. There are no easy answers. And there is one thing that I'd like to add. And I'm going to go beyond the 1 minute answer here. I think as a computer scientist and mathematician, I know how difficult it is to understand exponential growth. And
we have learned a lot about it during the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Humans don't get that.
Yeah.
We really have a hard time getting that. But I would say from a spiritual perspective, I think that's why we got the gift of the pandemic, to really begin to think about in those terms, because that's what we are currently experiencing from a technological perspective. And we see the downsides of an egocentric mindset like that of Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, who develops a platform that actually helps bring down democracies and helps kill people and, really has terrible outcomes for the people. So if you don't develop that, mindset that can really use technology in a positive way, exponential tech, then we are going to eliminate ourselves. So humans have an easy way to understand and to build complicated things. We build a car, we build a satellite, we build a space shuttle, we fly to the moon. These are complicated things.
But not complex.
We do not understand complex
yes.
things. And nature is complex. So we need to understand more nature and how it works than we currently have an understanding of.
Great, that's interesting. Let me just pick up certain points of what you just mentioned. The one thing is that, I fully agree. We need to actually understand the complexity of nature and I almost want to say the love, that is in this complexity of nature. Yes, the love for life and the wish to create more life and thrive more, and there's always kind of a balance between destruction and regeneration, and in the end, the core element is regeneration. And when we take this away from the split that you have been talking about, this is nice talk and it's kind of almost spiritual or esoteric stuff. And then some other people would say it has nothing to do with business. But what are you saying? You say there is a direct connection. If we move into that consciousness and that mindset, that life is actually adorable and that we need to learn much more of life, and that there may be even things, despite our technology, that we have no clue of, like, for example, how trees communicate with each other. You might be much more advanced than any technology that we have, or any communication technology that we have developed. And but if I go back to you saying people need to connect, people need to talk with each other, can you explain a little bit more? What are these two worlds that need to come together, and how are they locked in their silos?
Yeah, it comes down to what I said before, this lack of humility and overdrive of the egocentric mind that leads us to believing that we know the answers for everything. And I think if we work on ourselves to go beyond the ego, or what I call, we don't need to go beyond the ego, we need to create a healthier ego that appreciates and loves your ego and that of 8 billion people on this planet, then the heart opens and we are willing to understand what the other people have to say and engage into many, many conversations where wisdom can manifest. I think working on ourselves, that's why I believe that it all starts with ourselves. If you go to demonstrations, for instance, and there are so many of us, or the political situation right now, then you see how and what that kind of ego can produce. And that is absolutely and ultimately going to lead to the destruction, to the elimination of the human race on this planet. So those of us who manage to muster that humility, need to open the door and open our hearts to engage with each other and coming up with a solution so that the new solutions can emerge. I think it would be extremely arrogant to pretend that anyone has the solution for the existential problems that we have. We only have portions of the solution. But again, we live in an extraordinary, complex, exponentially growing world. And that makes this communication and collaboration very difficult. So we need to really have the willingness, the understanding, and the wisdom to open up and join forces. And I've seen, and I mean, I'm old enough, and you are too, to know, and we've been around the block, how small organizations are fighting with each other and destroy each other rather than reach out to other people and engage in meaningful conversations. So I think that's why for me, mindset is the key, because we know what to do. I mean, if I look at tech, I know exactly the technologies are there, to address most of the problems we have. I mean, drawdown is a wonderful example.
You would say there could be a different Facebook.
Yes, absolutely.
So if taken with a different, developed with a different mindset, and let's say if the pathology of power wouldn't be so strong, there could be a different Facebook, just to take this analogy. It's quite interesting, Mariana, going back to the feminist stance of the 36 by 36 Association. Some people, and probably the author Rihanna Eisler, would say that, and many other feminist authors would also say, it's not about turning back to a time that we had 6,000 years ago, because, you cannot kind of turn back history. But it's probably good to revive some of the original, let's say, attitudes, mindsets and thoughts that we had 6,000 years ago, or that are still existing in society. Because you could, on the one hand, say we have to develop a new mindset, but you could also say we have to revive a mindset that is also has been in existence in humankind throughout history. Would you say, let's say, if we look at the future of economies, do women have a special role in bringing about this mindset, the new mindset or the revived old mindset?
Well, I'm an evolutionary scientist, and that mindset, the tribal mindset that Rihanna is talking about, Rihanna Eisler, is in us. It's prevalent. We just had Christmas behind us. We have every day we sit together as a family for dinner. We have a village in which we are active and we work together. It is that kind of mindset that is actually active at the local level, because it's a smaller tribe. It's much easier. And although there are problems, we have actually transcended and included this evolution of the tribal societies, and it's part of our society. The next are nation states and others. The integral level where we transcend and include, because we're using all the evolution in human civilization and social development in what's today with us. So I think what I would absolutely agree with is to allow, it's inclusion and diversity, to open the doors to many, many different types of societies and cultures in this conversation, where we, after a while of sitting together and working on issues and exchanging data and respecting and honoring the diversity, that will come with solutions that helps us all. Because if you look at the current economics, we tend to throw the baby with the bathwater, but the truth of the matter is that current economics has brought us extraordinary abundance. I don't need to go into the numbers. In my book, there is those of us who are interested in more data, they should do research. The results of the abundance that the current economic system has created is extraordinary, but there are extraordinary downfalls too, and we need to fix those. And that's exactly where we need to work together, because we have left important aspects of the of nature out and society.
Good. So, fixing the downfalls is a good ending of our conversation. Just kind of, Mariana, do you have, let's say, 3 recommendations to build this network of women, to build this transformation network of women with expertise in economics and expertise in future making? 3 recommendations, what we should do in order to get the silos into a conversation.
Well, first of all, I think I am a great believer in education. I think that it's extraordinarily important that we learn, and it's to begin to open up to the complexity of the world, and we understand what is already here. And because, again, transcend and include, we are standing on the shoulders of those of 13.8 billion years of evolution. So what is in front of us is the result of those 13.8 billion years. So we need to be able to understand where we are. So that's education, the most important thing. Second thing is personal growth. I think it's extraordinarily important that, we don't not only use the mind to understand science and to understand politics and understand the complex world that surrounds us, but understand ourselves and work on ourselves. So that would be the second thing. And the other is the ability to engage with one another, and not just within women and girls, but with entire society as a whole. So these are the education is extremely important, personal growth, and the ability to engage with each other, relationships.
Thank you, Mariana. Thanks a lot for this interview, and
thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.